also, I don't know if you hang around British for a while and then you talk to Americans, they sound kind of rude. And then the movie starts off. Oh, yeah. Yes, we're back.
We are back. So let's see, after the last one, I guess it's you, Bob.
Hi there, folks. I'm Bob Nick Shields, and the movie I'm reviewing tonight is Dreamchild. So let's take a look at it.
Right. We're going to do it nice. I don't know about that.
This afternoon, we are gathered here to celebrate the genius of Lewis Carroll. On this, the centenary of his birth. A celebration honored by the presence, the grace of Alice herself.
She was Alice. The real Alice, the one Lewis Carroll first told the story to 70 years ago.
She's arriving in New York tomorrow morning on the Berengaria.
That kid has a face of 11 going on 30.
Any old dame who fell down a rabbit hole and sat down to tea with a Mad Hatter is going to cheer me up, let alone our readers.
When I was a little girl,
Dreamchild,
That kid.
true story of the real Alice and Charles Dodgson, better known as Lewis Carroll.
I love that guy. I love him.
You will always cherish it, Alice.
He was an art
The most
choice
wonderful
for,
thing that has ever happened. I shall read it again and again and
You'll
again.
have your shots.
Because he doesn't look like that. He didn't. There are pictures of it.
A moving story from Jazz Age New York to Victorian Oxford.
Have you thought about whom you might like to marry?
But why on earth should he say that to you?
Because he loves me, of course.
It's an emotion which has always frightened me, yet I can always recognize it when I see it.
I wouldn't change one hair of your head.
Dreamchild is Dennis Potter's brilliant picture of childhood innocence and the pressures of the new world.
Do that movie now. Cancel.
Was it a dream? Or was it reality?
What
I don't think
is it?
I think that's
What
baloney.
day of the month is it?
They
Carl
don't answer
Brown
that
as the
question.
80-year-old Alice.
Flowers remind me of death, you know.
Ian Holm as the inspired storyteller.
Love him.
It was time for Alice to have some tea.
Jane Asher as Alice's mother.
Say you're
Paul
sorry
McCartney's
once.
girlfriend when the Beatles
What
started
really
out.
happened in
Jane-
that long-lost
That's
Jane
Jane
Victorian
Asher's
summer?
out.
The mother.
Was it the Wonderland we can never forget? Or did the looking glass reflect a different picture?
I see it now. At long, long last. Thank you, Mr. Dodgson.
Thorn EMI presents Dreamchild, the revealing story of Lewis
I
Carroll.
thought that girl did look like a
What?
lady. The older lady. A really good casting.
Yes, she looked great.
Could actually be the offspring.
The little girl also.
Okay. I have to say right up front, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Now, when this came out, which I think was 1984,
85.
85, nobody had any idea how to sell it, and so it got lost in a shuffle, which is tragic. Carl Brown, by the way, Mrs. Vincent Price, if we want to tie this into Halloween. Carl Brown plays Alice Liddell. She became Hargreaves later on, but she plays her at age 80, and she's been called to Columbia University because they're doing a celebration of the centennial of Lewis Carroll's birth. And Lewis Carroll was, in case you don't know, a pen name used by Reverend Charles Dodgson. And there's those two actors, Carl Brown and Ian Holm, who plays Charles Dodgson / Lewis Carroll, give two of the most amazing performances you'll ever see in a movie. They're phenomenal. And there are things in this movie that don't work, like all the stuff with the American reporters does not work. It just sits there. But the main characters, and I really appreciated Peter Gallagher's performance in this a lot more this time around. He plays a sort of a rogue reporter who can't get hired by any paper, and he latches on to Alice Hargreaves. She is at the point of the story. He latches onto her basically her traveling companion and falls for her, and so that's a whole subplot. Also, it's written by Dennis Potter, Dennis Potter was the 20th century's answer to William Shakespeare. This guy was an amazing writer, best known for The Singing Detective and Pennies from Heaven, but he was an astonishing writer, and everything works here. It's an odd choice for a Halloween movie to most people, but I'm 80 years old, and when you get to be my age and your memory doesn't work the way it used to, this is one of the scariest movies ever made.
Why?
Because it's about she's remembering things in her past that she has kept hidden for so long.
Okay.
And she's not necessarily remembering them accurately because she's remembering the characters. She's
Right.
remembering Alice in Wonderland's story rather than Alice Liddell Hargreaves' story.
Good point. Good point.
And it's just and by the way, the creatures who were based on the original Edward Tenniel drawings from the original Alice in Wonderland were created by Jim Henson's I forget what Puppet Works or something like that. But they are really astonishing. I mean, the Mad Hatter looks out and out syphilitic. They're voiced by such perfect actors too. Like the voice of the March Hare is done by a fellow named Ken Campbell, who was a ventriloquist as well as a pretty amazing actor, and he was the ventriloquist who taught Nina Conti Milan.
Huh?
Yeah.
How funny.
And who she had the affair with. But that's getting off into a whole different thing. This is about this story and this movie. And this movie never fails to make me sob because I see what's going on here. I mean, it's about, we don't know what the story was. I mean, there have been rumors of, and other things written about Charles Dodgson being a pedophile. I don't see him as being a pedophile. I see him as being obsessed with the beauty of one child, and that child is so perfectly cast. Amanda Shankly is the name of the young actress who plays that part.
I think that's the definition of a pedophile.
No, I disagree.
No, because I don't think there was ever anything actively sexual about it. But he was like, this is, I think, what the movie is saying too. I don't know, none of us know what's true. But for what is...
I think he loved that child.
He is obsessed with that child.
But he liked all the children. I mean, I think he actually wanted to marry one of the older girls. But that wasn't that uncommon in that time.
However, for the sake of this movie, for what's on the screen here, this is the story of her remembering things as she's getting old and approaching, speaking about the man. And she ultimately basically has to, she accepts a truth that is so heartbreaking in terms of her thinking back, that there's a sequence where as a child she just walks across a little bit of an area where they're having a picnic and hugs him, as the other children around her are all making fun of him because he has a stutter.
Right.
So it's just it's something that as you can tell, I mean, I'm talking all around it. I can't even tell you what this movie does to me. All I know is that I am so moved by the honesty and the performances. I can't state enough how great both Carl Brown and Ian Holm and Jane Asher playing Alice's mother, wonderful British actress. She's everybody in it is very good, but the two of them just stand out, and the movie speaks to me. And believe me, at my age, it's a scary movie.
I can't tell you how much I love this movie. I was like, what is this about, Dreamchild? And then I was like, realized it was about actually this story. Everything that's in it is probably made up, but the actual facts are true. I mean, she really did go to and get the award, and she really was the original Alice. I think all the talk about, I have to say, I just think is ridiculous. It's like he had a very great imagination. He was actually close with all the girls. It was not unusual. He was also a photographer. And so it was not unusual for him to, I just think people are reading the wrong thing into it. I really don't get that at all. And I think that actually the scene you were talking about, I think that, remember, actually she was making fun of him at first. It was the older girl who was having a problem with it. And then she kind of listened to her and went, oh yeah, that was mean of us, right? You know, the way kids are. So yeah, so I just said, okay, let's go to my notes because I just love this so much. I was so looking forward to seeing it because Alice in Wonderland is one of my most favorite books to this day. In fact, after I saw this movie, I had gotten a book in my 20s called The Annotated Alice. Somebody knew I liked it. Yeah. And I went and looked to see if it still existed, and it does.
Wow,
it's
great.
It's great.
I remember when it came out. I was working in bookstores back then. Yeah, when it came out, it was a big thing.
Yeah, it was a great book.
Yeah.
And it has like all little side things, and because he was also a mathematician, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just all kinds of interesting stuff going on in that book. Anyways, I I think the book also relates on a different way. Like I'm sure all of us have at one time or another found ourselves in with everybody around us and go, is it me or are all these people nuts? You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of what she's doing. She's kind of like, huh? Right? So I felt like I really related to that, especially as a teenager, right? It was like, so a story about the real Alice Shankly. No, Amelia Shankly plays the real Alice.
Alice Liddell Hargreaves.
Yeah, and the old Alice is played by Coral Brown. Yeah. Curiouser and curiouser. It was like just so. They were brilliant, and it's kind of dreamlike. I mean, she goes back. Sometimes she's in reality. I think she died at 84, and I think it actually happened at 82. This actually happened at 80 when she was 82 years old, right? And she says she's not well. Mm-hmm. You know, in the movie, she alludes to that.
Well, yeah.
The only argument I have with that movie is, first of all, what is the name of the reporter, the actor?
Peter Gallagher.
Peter Gallagher. You've seen him grow up.
He was so bloody annoying. It was like
he was supposed to be.
And I actually think that it's from her point of view. She is kind of a Victorian age woman in her later years, and just coming to America is like, well, it's like Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of like the people are so loud and boisterous. Like she says, they chew this plastic stuff. They don't even spit it out when they talk to you, right? And I actually related to that a little bit. I remember when I first came here, I felt like people stood too close to me, asked me too personal questions, and I'm not even a Victorian age woman. You know what I mean? So I feel like that I got it because it was really from her point of view.
Right.
And Patty and I both have British parents, and we met our grandmother one time. I did, right? And so these people are just like ladies like this are very normal to us. I met so many of them. The way they think, it was just so, like a homecoming. It reminded me so much of like the way my mother thought and the way our grandmother thought, and they're just kind of English. I don't even know how to explain it. So there you go, Patty. Love the movie.
Well, here I go again. I really wanted this to be a movie. I was really looking forward to liking it because I thought it would be about the story of how this brilliant man made Alice in Wonderland, because it's such an amazing story, and the imagination is unbelievable. I didn't like the lead actress, Cora Brown. Was that her name, Cora?
Yes, Coral Brown.
Mm-hmm. To me, she was too middle of the road. Wow. If she was going to be angry, she should have been really angry, or have an angry-ish tone. She was too, what do you call that? Not just middle
Victorian?
Of the road. No, she wasn't even that.
Placid.
English?
Placid. She was
placid.
just, yeah.
That's the word. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I thought the story was all over the place. I thought it was very weak. I thought when they did show, I know it's funny how people can have opposite views. And I really was looking forward to seeing this movie because I love the book. But no, it
didn't work for you.
The story didn't hold together. It was just all over the place. Peter Gallagher was incredibly annoying. So
God,
he played his part well. But the other ones, no. Lon?
Well, I sort of partly agree with you because that's the part of the story I don't like, actually, because you're right. But I agree with Susie, what she says, that basically this was another Alice's Adventure in Another Wonderland called America, or more specifically, New York.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're right. I do like the fact that she chastises the reporters and especially Peter Gallagher's character, saying, you know, I haven't known you for this long. What gives you the right to call me by my first name?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I thought, good. They're really keeping to her character and even just British manners in general.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know,
I still have that thing if someone gets too familiar.
Yeah, the Americans, I just think, you know, he's just playing the typical kind of American. But even I thought they would be a little bit more sensitive. I mean, at the beginning, too, there's another sequence where the guy has, oh, here, will you hold this little stuffed white rabbit, you know? Because all they want to do is once they hear about her, they want that one story. They just want basically what we call a sound bite. They just want that little human interest story because, let's face it, that is sort of a fascinating character, even in America at this time point. My experience with Alice was actually seeing the Disney movie. And I was so like scratching my head at watch, and it wasn't even a movie. I think it's only like an hour long, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a long.
It's considered a movie,
but I just thought this is so confusing. So when I finally got to actually read the text and the stuff and everything that was left out, it amazed me. And so of course, Alice Through the Looking Glass. I had to do that. Then all of a sudden, I bought the complete, like a little thing that was like I say little, but it's a huge book called The Complete Works of Lewis Carroll. He is, to me, one of the best.
Absolutely.
I don't know how to put it. It's the way he worded things that I found so fascinating.
He's clever.
Exactly. But, you know, I'm not a clever person. I just appreciate the way he sort of phrased things and used the wording and everything. And yet, for example, this Coral Brown's character, though, this Alice Hargreaves, she literally is Alice again, which is why I don't think she's grouchy. You know, Alice she's confused and she's sort of, you know, amazed by certain things. And she's very rarely is she rude, right?
Oh, she's always rude.
No, she's
not. But not even in a funny way.
No. I'm talking about Alice in Wonderland. The Alice character is not rude. So therefore, I don't see her rude. I just see her really, but being at her age, coming back with certain things. Like you can't, you know, that's why I think she has that young, you know, I don't want to call her a lady in waiting, but, you know, that assistant that's helping her, right? the Lucy character, you know, and that's where I thought, see, for me, the movie goes off when they sort of center more on her and the younger people in the movie. Because so I really did enjoy.
They didn't need that story.
Exactly. Well, in a way, it's sort of a catalyst for something, right?
Well, she might have come, it might have actually happened that way. So I can't, Because
I think the one important scene is when Lucy and Alice Hargreaves do have sort of a falling out, you know, and you sort of understand why. Because most of the time she has to placate Lucy, the assistant has to really help her, and she feels guilty about leaving her alone or doing it. No, I have to be there for her. Right. So when she realized at one point that sometimes this Alice Hargreaves is not really going to be for there, because she literally is a servant. You would call her a servant, right? That
are you talking about the companion?
Yes, the Lucy character. Yes,
it's a job.
Well, exactly right. But you know, the thing is, towards the end, you see she does really have a fondness because she knows. She literally talks about her life, how she doesn't have long time in this life, you know, and it is sort of funny because I think.
Well, she sees what happens when Lucy leaves the room.
Well, that's the one thing because see. As far as the direction is concerned, that's the one thing I did really appreciate about the film. And again, I think that's the magic of Dennis Potter. He knows how to really meld reality and fantasy together in a context where you're watching this. And like you said, it's not really madness, but in a way it is. Again, like what Alice goes through. Like she says, am I going mad or am I just in this world that I don't understand? And that's how I saw Coral Brown's character. So that's why I was sort of fascinated by it. But I agree with you that as far as you, Patty, that at one point it's like, there's too many, I would say, annoying things about this.
Perfect word.
If they really did just stick to her and her story and her character,
it would have been better.
I would have definitely enjoyed this movie. And that's the thing is, the first time I saw it, I had the exact same reaction as I did now. It's like, yeah, see, all the great things are still there. They really are there. And, you mentioned even like the voice talents of the people, you had people like Alan Bennett and Julie Walters, playing some of the characters that were sort of like, not big characters, but I thought, wow, see some young Alan Bennett wasn't young.
I didn't mention it, but all the girls, the
daughters, her sisters, right? Yeah, okay,
were exceptional. They were wonderful. They were so great. I don't know all the actresses, but they were fantastic.
But see, and that's the funny part, because that I also thought was in a different movie as well. Because when they do flash back to her past, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, she came from a family of like 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, but we only see the 3 or 4 girls.
An older and a younger sister, basically, right? Yeah.
Maybe the rest came later.
No, I think there were 6 older children and like 3. But I don't know who died in the war and things like that, for example. Because that's another context about British, is you have to know that, World War II, the First World War really devastated the country and changed a lot of the class structure and everything.
But to me, everything else got in the way of telling the story of how this guy wrote Alice in Wonderland.
Well, see, that
took away
this
from
isn't about
everything.
this isn't about writing Alice in Wonderland at all.
That wasn't
It's not about him writing Alice in Wonderland.
Well, that's what
I
thought it was going to be.
No, okay, yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. For me, it's not. To me, it was the Alice Hargreaves coming to America to celebrate the centennial, his birthday, right? And sort of receive this little thing. So her speech at the end too, I think, is really well done. I had such a great reaction to that ending. But
I'm sure that's what she said.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. But as far as the Ian Holm playing Lewis Carroll, see, that part I was like, oh, all that stuff has sort of been debunked, because I know I think somebody wrote a book about that kind of stuff. And
are we talking about the pedophilia?
Well, right. How far did it really go? And
it was that's baloney.
Well, that's that they have, in my opinion, they really have no evidence, and there's nothing in his writings that actually pertains to that, because you think something would betray it, right?
Yes.
But he was a preacher as well, so I can't say that. But I will say this: this is a movie such a unique experience. Dennis Potter, I think, at this time point in his career, he was sort of a hot property. So I think that's why it did get distributed theatrically.
I thought he wrote it very well. He incorporated the actual feel of the actual story of Alice in Wonderland, the novel, into the reality of this woman's life.
Well, I actually want to say, since what you guys had said about Peter Gallagher, I want to give him some credit on this time around. His character is definitely like a secondary character, but he really grows. I mean, at the beginning of the thing, he's a hustler. He's coming in like sneaking on. They're all making fun of him. But I think he literally falls for Lucy, and it changes him and it makes him soft. And that's through the fact that he loves Alice.
I'm not arguing with the person. I just personally, there's no accounting for what an 18-year-old thinks is hot. But it's like that was well, she's a very young woman, right? And he's to me so annoying, so brash.
Right.
But I'm thinking,
but he changes.
But we're seeing it. No, he really doesn't.
He certainly does.
No, he doesn't. His manner.
Excuse me. I've seen this movie a half a dozen times.
George's turn.
Yeah, let's get to George.
But hold on. I think that it's through her eyes. This is what Americans seem like to her. And that's what they seem like to a lot of to a lot of people
who aren't American.
Right. It's not that he wasn't nice. It was that he was very brash, very aggressive. So
but he's changed by Alice.
But he still was.
What is George's thought? We're missing
out. Actually, I actually enjoyed the movie. I thought, to me, the movie was really about just one moment in her life, Alice, which is where she's going to America to receive this award on the anniversary of 100-year anniversary of his death, or everybody in the book. I can't remember that part.
Birthday.
His birthday. Okay. Yeah. So, and so the movie is just really about that part of it. but being there, it triggers her memories
Right.
of the whole when she was a child and then being with him when dealing with him, being told the story by him. In a way, it kind of, but she starts to intertwine the Alice story with her own real memories, where you don't know which is which. Like it's almost like her memories are also Alice's memories. So she starts combining them too, where she's actually also talking to those characters as herself, and you see us as Alice. I thought that's what the movie was showing. Also, I think that it's showing us that because it triggered the memories of her with Dodgson. It also made her aware of his admiration for her.
Yeah.
She wasn't aware of it as a child. She becomes aware of it now. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this guy was really admired me. So really loved me. So I think the movie. I know nothing about Lewis Carroll, so I was Googling him and all that because I'm not too familiar with I never read Alice in Wonderland. I didn't watch the Disney movie either. Nothing. I just saw. So I was like, okay. And then I found out about the whole, like, they were talking about the rumors of the pedophilia.
Right.
I thought the movie actually was really clever. They showed him. The movie showed his admiration for her, but it didn't show it like a pedophile way. It's almost like a fatherly way too. I mean, and people can take it as I figure people can take it either way. It depends how you think. You can take it, what a pedophile, or you go, I see he admires her like a father. She's smart or whatever. She's a little plucky kid, so he's really appreciates that. And he really admires that. So, and I found out that he also likes to draw their children. So I thought the movie, that's the way they were showing it. Also, I noticed if you hang around British for a while and then you talk to Americans, they sound kind of rude. And the movie starts off with she's the Brits and everything. She's British and talking to her Nancy and everything. And then we get introduced to Gallagher and he's out, and the reporters, and they seem a little brash, a little overwhelming, like, whoa, sensory overload.
Yeah, the contrast.
So the contrast. So I think that's maybe the way the movie showing you a way of a Brit being introduced to an American and how it's kind of becomes a way, like a big wave. Because she's made comments. She's telling Nancy, look at the Americans, they talk and chew gum at the same time. They have this little manner. So the what else was I saying there? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought that's what was going on. I like the Hemson. I always enjoyed Hemson's puppets. I always found him like scary. The Dark Crystal and all those movies like that. He does him really freaky. I mean, I could say it's not. Those puppets are not for children because they're pretty scary. Actually, the way he makes them.
The ones
and that rabbit is like, jeez. Oh yeah. Even the little what was a goblin? The guy with the goblin. So
I love the way it started too with the tortoise.
Telling us,
the mock turtle and the griffin.
Because he taught us.
Yeah, right. He's pretty clever.
And
that was Alan Bennett.
I love that. It was like I just thought it was an amazing movie. Okay, so
I enjoyed it.
Let's rate.
Okay, I give it a 10, of course.
Yep. I give it a 3.
I give it a 5.
Well, I'll give it a 9.
Oh, you don't rate.
Okay.
Okay, so...
so we'll be back.
But you fool!